Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering The Hunger Games, Book 2, Catching Fire, chapters 22, 23, and 24. In these chapters, Katniss finally realizes what the setup in the arena is modeled after, and she has a lot of questions about it. Also, we have to say goodbye to another cool ally. Wirus, we barely knew ye. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Are you coming to the tree? They strung up a man, they say, who murdered 3. Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where dead man called out for his love to flee? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you?
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm RoShawn.
Okay. Almost finished with this book, man. It's coming. And we are getting blood rains. We are getting torture scream sounds. What do you think?
This is bananas. It is, first of all, I can't believe how close to the end we are. My assumption, though this is based on nothing, that's why it's an assumption, is that the book ends with the games ending, but maybe that's not going to be the case. But the way they're running through these bodies, it's possible that this shit does get wrapped up. And losing Wirus like that was a real gut punch.
It's so sudden.
And you know what? Like we keep saying, oh, it was so sudden. We lost so and so. It was so sudden. But God damn it was so sudden. You know, and I was so happy to see them again. And then they show up with like this, you know, because I liked Wirus and I liked Beatty. And it was clear how smart they both were from the time we met them at the training center. And then we see them again, and she, you know, is here with news you can use. It's a fucking clock. And I'm so excited to have her back because I'm like, well, what else is she going to figure out for us? And then boom, gone.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like, she has just managed to get this information across before she dies.
So relieved too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what that song she was singing. I wanted to know.
The song that she was singing?
About the mouse that goes up the clock that makes
Hickory Dickory Dock.
Oh.
You know that one?
I have not thought about that since I was a child.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hickory,
it never.
Dickory Dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1. The mouse ran down. Hickory Dickory Dock. I don't remember the tune really, but
why I had no idea what she. I have not thought about that song, and so I never in a million years would have got that, y'all. As clear as day as that was, apparent. You know, of course that's the song. Never would have got that.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
I
To
appreciate
provide
it.
you with these incredible insights that you could never have figured out. So all right, starting from the beginning of chapter 22, we're still fighting with these monkeys, but they have backed off. It's a weird situation where they just sort of like pause and retreat, and Katniss is like, what the fuck are they? And then she realizes, oh, some game maker somewhere is like, all right, that's enough. And there's just something about knowing the whole game is at the behest of these people, but it's so easy to forget and feel like, oh, they're in the wilderness.
Right,
and
right.
Then remembering like, oh, they've been like controlling every bit of this suffering. And it just, every time I remember, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That it's as simple as flipping a switch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's that simple. Just turn the knob down and that's it. They just back away. And this morphling that has saved Peeta's life, and this scene with her, who still doesn't have a name, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Never gets a name. While he talks to her, it is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know this character, we didn't meet them. You know, they were just the weird morphlings the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a really, it parallels very much like Rue.
Mm-hmm.
And it's his opportunity for somebody that he has connected with to talk them out as they slide out of life.
Yeah.
And try and make it as like comforting and painless as possible, even though they're doubtless suffering terrible pain. You'll get your fries when they're
do you hear this?
Damn
Do you hear this?
Jesus, people, have some decorum.
Do not fuck around about their fries. They want them, and they want them now. And you know, they'll ask for a manager if they have to. They don't want to take it there, but they will.
I'm disgusted. So anyway, we're having a moment talking about this woman's last breaths of life. And they're just like, I said no salt. I like when they're fresh. You think you're so
I love
smart.
how we all think we've like cracked the code with that one. Like we're the only ones that do it. Everybody thinks they're like really hipping you the game. You know what you do, man. You tell them you need them with no salt, and they'll have to make you a fresh batch. Yes, we know.
And what always kills me is like, look, those batches are not. They're like 45 seconds old when you walk in the store.
Right.
Like, how long do you think they've been sitting there? Come on. The only time that I have ever consistently been like, I need to remember to ask for this fresh next time is when I get a chalupa. You ever had a stale chalupa from Taco Bell?
Never ordered a chalupa in my life.
First of all, that sucks for you. Because they are so good.
I get only one thing from Taco Bell, and it's the same thing every time.
What do you get?
I get a soft shell taco. That's all I'm here for. Yep.
With the like white flour shell?
Mm-hmm.
Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're a little bit white.
A little bit.
That just feels like, I don't know.
That is all Taco Bell can do for me. I don't want nothing else. Don't try to be fancy with me, Taco Bell. Your shit is 69 cents. Let's everybody calm down.
Is it 69 cents? Nice.
I mean, it's not anymore. Not anymore. But like when I was a little kid and Taco Bell first showed up on the East Coast, I don't know where it's like originally from, but I remember the very first time seeing a Taco Bell, I was probably in like the second or third grade. And we drove by it, and whatever the price was for 2 tacos was on like the big display sign outside the marquee sort of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the price was so low at the time. I can't remember what the dollar amount was, but I'll never forget. My eldest brother was in the car, and as we were driving by, he said the price, like, 39 cents. That's got to be horse meat. And because of that, right? Because I'm like 7. I never ate at Taco Bell till I was like almost 19. I did not fuck with Taco Bell because I was so scarred by that one offhand remark in a car in like 1982.
That is so fun. I mean, and the thing is, like, maybe, who knows? I wouldn't know horse meat.
Listen, how different can it really be?
What can I tell? It's fine. Add that special seasoning.
Right? Once it's all chopped up in seasons, I'm sure it's all fine.
But yeah, a chalupa is, the thing is that since you get a soft taco, a chalupa is just that same shell, but deep fried first and then filled up.
That sounds all right.
It's amazing. It's so annoying how good it is. Like, it's just a stupid thing they've done where they're just like, yeah, you know what? We're going to go even whiter. We're going to deep fry the white flour part.
That sounds right up my alley.
And I'm going to tell you what, man, they're so good. But if you get a stale one, that shell is like leather. You can't get your teeth through it. It is rough. And there is a Taco Bell near me that it's not that busy. And so sometimes I've gotten them, and it's like when you get like bad fast food bacon in a burger and you like take your bite and the whole piece of bacon just flops out and hits you in the face. Like, it's like that. You're trying to take a bite out of this poor chalupa and you just rip away like half the wall holding all of your fillings in, and then everything, the whole construction has no integrity anymore, and it just becomes like a weird salad pile that you have to try and scoop like you've got naan. It's not good.
The fucking bacon slapping you in the face.
You know what I'm talking about. You gotta try and hold it and like gnaw a piece off and then stick it back into the burger like that same exact shit is not about to happen to you a second time. There's just nothing to be gained through fast food bacon, everybody. Don't bother with it. They try and seduce you by putting bacon on stuff, and it's never as good as the bacon that you make at home, and you trick yourself into thinking it's going to be like that. And it's just never like that.
I love the eternal quest for bacon, though. Will really have us out here doing all kinds of shit. Because
when it's good, it's good.
When it's good, it's so good. We can just fucking do it on sober on bacon.
Okay, hold on. Adding that. But yeah, there's well, actually, I was about to start saying which bacon I like. Why would I do that?
No, why would you do that? It's going to be on a different podcast. But yeah, so Peeta is comforting. Yeah, right. I'm going to just slide right back into the story. Don't draw attention to it. We're just going to go right back into it, like we didn't segue for bacon for 15 fucking minutes. It's so early in the episode too. It's so early. We're all on bullshit. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry.
So yeah,
a lot of pressure.
You guys. So this is when she paints a flower on his cheek, and he says, "Thank you. That looks beautiful."
Yeah.
For a moment, the morphling's face lights up in a grin, and she makes a small squeaking sound. Then her blood-dappled hand falls back onto her chest. She gives one last huff of air, and the cannon fires. The grip on my hand releases. There's something about the fact that cannon fires before her hand lets go.
About to say the same thing.
I don't like it.
It's the way that the cannon is like the fucking instant. Life has ended. It's boom. And yeah. I know it was like that in the first book, but there's something about this time around. I guess it's because I don't know why, but there's something about this book where every time it happens, I'm just like, God damn. It's like, we get a second? Nope, you can't.
Nah.
It's wild. And I was picturing, I'm like, is there a guy whose whole job is just to make sure he hits the button exactly when they die? And of course, that can't be how this works. That can't be the deal, right?
It made me think of those TikToks where he's just got the one guy whose job it is to, in the background of songs. Remember that guy? The double clap. Or the guy in that other song whose job it is to jump on the bed and make the squeaks. That one.
But it can't be that way, right? It's got to be that they're hooked up to, their little monitoring device is also monitoring their vitals, and it's got to all be like a setup, right? So the minute like your heart stops, then boom.
That never even occurred to me, but I bet you're right. But no, straight up, never thought of it. I'm not even going to try and no. I not that I thought that there was one guy that was his whole job, but I just figured anytime somebody's about to die, the camera's on them and somebody is just ready to do it.
They're just there.
but it makes what you're saying makes a lot more sense.
And then Peeta takes her and carries her body out to the water, and it's just the whole moment is so sad. And she has done this remarkable thing where like saving Peeta's life, sacrificing herself. And we don't, like, I think I had said towards the end of the last podcast, maybe, I know that they had spent some time together in the training center painting, but is that enough of a reason to sacrifice herself like this for him? I don't know. And then that sort of, Katniss ends up having those very same questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of like weird. Well, we'll get to that. Thing.
Yeah.
So at this point, they look over and they realize that like the bodies from the monkeys are all gone, and they don't know where they went. Finnick just says the vines shifted and they were gone, and I was like, I do not like that.
I didn't care for that one bit. The vines shifted. They did. I beg your pardon,
right? Like, I guess they just pull the bodies underground and into like a facility. I don't even know.
It's giving like Westworld, where there's like a whole underground lab.
Exactly what I'm thinking. Yes. I mean, it's impossible to not think of Westworld with a lot of this stuff, actually.
That's true. Yeah, I've had several moments as I'm reading where I've almost made comparisons on the mic, but I haven't. But yeah, there's because the thing about, Westworld turned extraordinarily bloody, but it wasn't supposed to be.
Yes.
But this is the whole park setup and how there are people controlling everything behind the scenes and all that is like a very similar kind of energy. Yeah, so they're all like just sitting there, like everybody, like I felt like when he says the vine shifted and they just disappeared, there should have been a little bit more talk about that. But everybody is fucking exhausted and shocked and, as she says, numb, that they all just are sitting there watching.
I have to assume too that like they've watched these games since they were kids. The vines shifting and then they're gone. They probably have seen shit like that before. There's probably been like behind the scenes footage or how it works specials, like I bet it doesn't seem as weird to them as it seems to you and me.
That's a good point, though. I would be curious how much behind the scenes you get. I think that's, I say I'm curious. I mean, like legit, like I'm curious, like how much behind the scenes action you get when you're watching TV about the games, because it feels like they want to keep so much of it shrouded in secrecy. But I think you're right as far as like as a watcher of the games themselves, not necessarily behind the scenes, but you probably see all kinds of wild shit over the years watching. So that's a really good point.
So at this point, everybody's got the itch because apparently the scabs that they've got from that fucking acid fog. And even though they managed to get it to stop eating into them by jumping in the water, it's healing and it is just awful, like feeling. And there is this wonderful moment that I loved so much where she wakes up, realizes she's been scratching in her sleep. And she just gets up and stomps over to the beach and looks into the sky and says, Hey, Mitch, if you're not too drunk, we could use a little something for our skin. It's almost funny how quickly the parachute appears above me. I reach up and the tube lands squarely in my open hand. About time, I say, but I can't keep the scowl on my face. And there's this like gross, pungent, like thick ointment inside, and she puts it on and it looks horrible. And Finnick is like, oh God, that's gross looking. You look like you're rotting away. But even though it takes him a minute, finally he's like, all right, give me.
Yeah. I want to mention because it came up last episode and we didn't really talk about it, but there's another moment too where she looks at Finnick and realizes that he's about to burst into tears.
Yes.
He offers to do like the watch overnight, and she's
Mhm.
all like, "No, I'll do it." And then she looks at him and realizes that he is barely holding back the tears. And then she had a moment like that with him right after Mags, where she's talking about how his eyes look like cat eyes and they're reflecting because they're just like welled up with tears.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, damn, this thing with him and Mags is like, what is going on? And then that kind of pops up a little bit later too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a they had a really strong relationship. And I just the whole like everybody's the losses that they suffer in this arena, but they don't get to like cope with it all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so gross, man, you know?
And this like the idea that they have these relationships, especially this group, even more so than last book, because these are victors who've, you know, had years together as, you know, living in their little victory villages at their, you know, respective districts, and the relationships that they have with each other. And then they have to come into this fucking arena and lose people. If you're lucky, you just lose them like he lost Mags. But if you're unlucky, you have to maybe kill them so that you can win. Like, either way, it's fucking terrible. Yeah, the thing with Haymitch is very, very funny. I was surprised that it worked too. I have to admit, I was like, oh shit. Well, damn, we should just go and yell at Haymitch every time we need something.
And this leads to her and Finnick sneaking up on Peeta while he's asleep with their creepy, gunky faces and waking him when they're an inch away from his face. And he wakes and jumps, and she and Finnick fall over laughing.
So good. This is
and
so good.
Immediately there's a parachute with a loaf of bread that appears.
Yeah, the message is, okay, be friends with Finnick and you'll get food. I love too that they're laughing so hard, and every time they try to stop laughing, they just look at Peeta and then they just fucking start laughing.
Yep. I really like the idea of how much they're getting from sponsors this time around.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so different, the whole energy of it. You know, it's not that she didn't get stuff last time, and to a degree what she's getting this time is similar, like the spile to get water, when the thing with Peeta needing medicine, and it was like, we're not going to give you medicine, we're going to give you something to drug him so you can go get medicine.
Yeah, like,
we're not going to give you water, we're going to give you the thing and you have to figure out how to use it to get water. Right. But I just really, they seem like they're probably the team to beat at this point. Like, probably they're getting the most out of everybody, I would guess.
Yeah,
but
and they're like, I guess too, because they've added like Finnick's district to their little, you know, their little party, so they can get stuff from him and his supporters. Where before it was just she had to rely only on Haymitch, you know. So this kind of opens things up.
So let's see. Oh, that's right. Finnick recognizes the bread. It's got seaweed in it, which means that it's tinted green. And he just recognizes it immediately and says this will go well with the shellfish, which they then describe their meal. And I was jealous. Oh, God. I want some freshly caught shellfish on a beach with some salty seaweed bread.
If you take away the horror of it all, it is very delightful.
Listen, that is literally the sentence we have to say to ourselves to live in this world anymore.
That is so fucking true.
If you take away the horror of it all, it sounds delightful. Well, yes. Yep.
I love too, there's a moment when they realize that the bread is from District 4, where it's like, maybe he won't share.
Yes.
But of course he shares. But
He's like protective with it.
There's just like she's just like, we all know it's his. I mean, it's green. There's no denying it. We know where this came from. And what if he realizes that this could be it for him? Like maybe they won't be sending more. And he just says, this is going to go well with the shellfish. Just sort of everybody calm down. We're all going to have some.
So this, let's see. We all look monstrous. I love that. The jungle has evolved from a place of protection to a sinister trap. And in the distance, there's screaming, and a wedge of jungle begins to vibrate. An enormous wave crests high on the hill, topping the trees and roaring down the slopes. It hits the existing seawater with such force that even though we're as far as we can get from it, the surf bubbles up around our knees, setting our few possessions afloat. Among the three of us, we manage to collect everything before it's carried off, except for our chemical-riddled jumpsuits, which are so eaten away no one cares if we lose them. A cannon fires. We see the hovercraft appear over the arena where the wave began and pluck a body from the trees. Yikes.
A fucking tsunami now. Now we got tsunamis. So if you're keeping track.
Good God. They're having this one nice moment of their fucking shellfish, and then they have to see this.
And this is early on day 2 or late on day 1. I don't even know anymore.
I think it's day 2 because they slept in the woods when Peeta had when the fog came, right?
Yeah, they were sleeping.
That was nighttime.
They were sleeping then, and then she wakes them up so they can run. And then they get to the beach, and they washed off, I guess. Did they sleep after that? I don't even fucking know, dude. I can't tell. All I'm saying is it's been a lot.
It's been
in a very short period of time.
So, this is capped off with some fucking people who are red as if they've been just dipped in paint. And after a moment, they realize that it is Joanna and Nuts and Bolts, and they are covered in blood because there was a blood rain.
Listen, a blood rain?
Mm-hmm.
What? What is that even? Like, that's just distressing and messy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I understand that, unless that's just the point, to be distressing and messy.
Listen, her partner Blight hit the force field and died because they were staggering around blind.
That's true.
Rain.
That's true.
So it seems like it's kind of a weird passive thing, but it fucks you up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's got what is it? Nuts and Bolts with her, and she is really irritable about having them with her.
Very much so. And she yells because she's kind of angry, and Wyrus is saying tick tock, and Joanna is like, yeah, we know. Nuts is in shock. Tick-tock. This seems to draw Wyrus in her direction, and she careens into Joanna, who harshly shoves her to the beach. Just stay down, will you? Lay off her, I snap. Joanna narrows her brown eyes at me in hatred. Lay off her? She hisses. She steps forward before I can react and slaps me so hard I see stars. Who do you think got them out of that bleeding jungle for you? Finnick tosses her writhing body over his shoulder and carries her out into the water and repeatedly dunks her while she screams a lot of really insulting things at me. But I don't shoot because she's with Finnick and because of what she said about getting them for me. And it turns out Haymitch had told her, if you want Katniss on your side, you're going to need to get her the people that she asked for. Which at this point, Katniss is sort of, I said that I wanted them. I didn't say that, but she decides to just kind of let it go. But it definitely feels like Haymitch has been having a lot of conversations about Katniss with the others.
Absolutely has been having a lot of side discussions, and I get what him telling Johanna or Johanna. I don't know how you say it. I don't know if it's Joanna because it's got that H in there. But
I think it's I think I remember it being Joanna in the movie. But I may be wrong about that.
I don't know. I got like 2 people that I deal with on a regular basis with that name, and they both are Johannas.
Okay.
And but that's, I have no idea what this character's name is supposed to be. But either way, I get Haymitch telling her what she needs to do to get Katniss on her side, or for Katniss to trust her or ally with her. What I don't get is is it like, why does she so desperately, is it because they're just so popular as contestants? Is that just the motivation I'm supposed to be going with?
I mean, they probably are the best way to stay alive, sticking by the people who the crowd seem to care about the most. And if it's your life on the line, like,
yeah, I get like how that would be beneficial from a sponsor point of view, but I guess I don't know. I guess I'm just still very, very confused about what, because the thing is I know that something else is going on here. I just don't know. I just don't know what it is. So I'm looking at everything like, but why though? And does that make sense? Because I know there's something else. I just can't put my finger on it just yet. But yeah, so where were you? So
I was. It was just her getting dunked, and the conversation about that. Wires keeps saying TikTok in the background for like the next several pages. They have to look at Beetee, who has some kind of injury, a long slice in his back, and she's trying to figure out what she's going to do, and she finds this moss and remembers how Mags gave it to her to blow her nose in. And she manages to make these like pads out of it and tie them against him to like staunch the bleeding.
Yeah. And is it Peeta or is it Finnick? Somebody is just like, you're really good with this healing stuff. It must be Peeta because he says it's in your blood. And she's just like, yeah, no, you have no idea what you're talking about. I got blood. But also we know how squeamish that she is because she's told us how she cannot really deal with people who are injured, and how she always leaves the room when her mom and Prim are working on somebody. And now we see her trying to tend to somebody's wounds, and trying to figure out how she can help and what she can do. And it is it's a little bit of progression for our girl, right?
It's true. Yes, it is. It's just so it's like, is it progression when you're in this situation? I guess so. It just feels, and whenever it's like at gunpoint, basically, I'm like, does this count? But yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, she could have just, walked away like I'm sure her instinct would be, and let somebody else try to deal with it. But no, she like steps up in the moment. Poor Wiress is just in the background, like you're right, for like another page and a half, just TikTok, TikTok.
I feel bad for her because she's just like not really able to form coherent. It's weird because like Wiress would trail off when talking, but she never felt like she wasn't able to put together a sentence.
Yeah,
she has really gotten shaken, you know?
Yeah, this is, yeah. And at first I thought it was just like, well, it's because Beetee is not there. Maybe like the connection that they had enabled her to articulate herself a little bit better before she got injured. But no, something she saw, something happened, and she is gotten knocked off her rocker a little bit.
I don't think I've ever heard it put like that. I like that. I've always heard off her rocker, but I never heard like she was knocked off her rocker. Like, yeah, you know what? That's the way to say trauma. I approve.
And then Joanna, who is really feeling a way about Mags and like, what did you do? Which, you know, how did you lose her? And they tell her what happened in the fog. And she tells Katniss that Mags was Finnick's mentor. And she says it like, you know that, right? And Katniss is like, actually, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
And then Joanna's like...
She says accusingly.
Right?
Yeah.
And then she tells Katniss that she was half his family. And that's all she says. And it's funny because in that moment she says half his family, which begs the question, like, well, who's the other half? But that did not occur to me in the moment.
So this is when she like falls asleep and Wirus saying like TikTok hits Wirus goes to sleep. I'm sorry, not Katniss. She's awake and Wirus like comes conscious just to say it and then fall back to sleep. And Katniss is suddenly like, wait a second. And she begins to realize the timing of everything and the way that it's lining up with the sections in the circle. Yeah. Each hour begins a new horror, a new game maker weapon, and ends the previous. Lightning, blood rain, fog, monkeys. Those are the first 4 hours on the clock. And at 10, the wave. I don't know what happens in the other 7, but I know Wirus is right. And she's just like, you know, thinking about how we're on the beach by the monkey segment. And I'm starting to get a little bit twitchy. Like even the fog, we're real close to that. Is there a barrier? Do they manage to keep them in place? The wave like fucked us up all the way over here, so I don't think so. And if that fog comes back, it's gonna possibly leach all the way out here. And if the monkeys come back, well, that's a wrap. And so she's like, all right, everybody, you better get the fuck up.
She's going over her clock theory and telling everybody about it. And Wirus wakes up. She wakes her up. And she, you know, she wakes up, TikTok. And then Katniss is like, yes, it's a clock. And she's so fucking relieved. Like, fucking finally. And then she just says midnight. And Katniss is like, yeah, it starts at midnight. And then Wirus is like, all right. Thank God somebody got it.
I really do love that moment.
I did too.
Because there is nothing like finally somebody getting what you're trying to tell them. Oh,
and how frustrating it is when you can't communicate something, especially if it's something important and urgent, you know?
Definitely.
And you cannot make the people around you understand something that you know that they need to know. And you just, that shit will drive you crazy. It will absolutely drive you crazy. And then Katniss has a memory of seeing Heavensby's little pocket watch and him saying it starts at midnight. And me and her are both like, why would he do that? Why would he say that? Because at the time, we didn't know that there was going to be this, right? She was just a victor at the time on her little world tour. So, yeah, we all got questions. We got a lot of questions.
Yeah, this layers upon layers. So at this point, Beetee wakes up and he keeps saying wire, and they think he's asking about Wirus. And finally, Joanna's like, "Oh, I know what he wants. It's this fucking wire. He got cut trying to go grab this from the cornucopia. And what is this even like as a weapon? You could garrote somebody, but he's never like you can't see him doing that." And Peeta's like, he won his games with wire. It's the best weapon he could have. And Katniss herself is like, You're the one who nicknamed him Volts. Wouldn't you have that figured out? Joanna's eyes narrow at me dangerously. Yeah, that was really stupid of me, wasn't it? I guess I must have been distracted by keeping your little friends alive while you were, what again? Getting Mags killed off? Oh my God. Joanna. Calm yourself, madam. Jesus.
0 to 100.
She's just so angry. And Katniss like grabs her knife by the hilt, and Joanna's like, I don't give a shit if you have a child in your belly. I will rip your fucking throat out. So go ahead, bitch. Try it. It's just so tense, these two.
It's super tense. Yeah. And now Joanna is the one that was walking around with her clothes off all the time.
Correct.
And Nobria, the other one, is the one with the filed teeth, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the fact that she just says, "I'll rip your throat out," is just sprinkling some,
Oh yeah. She's like, I don't need my teeth to do it. I'll do it with my bare hands.
Yeah, look, I love this. I know I can't kill her right now, but it's just a matter of time with Joanna and me before one of us offs the other. And fucking Finnick has to be like, maybe everybody should be careful where we step, as he gets in between them. And it's just like, everybody, let's take a breath.
So at this point, Finnick is like, I think that we should go to the cornucopia and watch and make sure that we have got this right. And Katniss is trying to keep her mind off of the order in which everybody is probably going to die.
Yeah.
They go over to the cornucopia, and Wyrus comes over and cleans the wire for Beetee. And she's like down at the water, rinsing it off. And this is when she starts singing Hickory Dickory Dock. And let's see, here it is.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I think you're about to say the same thing.
Oh, you can go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Beetee is telling everybody about Wyrus, and because I think it's Peeta, who's just like, you were really smart to figure out the clock thing. And Beetee is like, she's more than smart. She's intuitive. She can sense things before anyone else, like a canary in one of your coal mines. And so then they have to explain, because Finnick is like, what? Oh, what in a what now? And they explain what, like, the canary in a coal mine thing and how that works, about how they'll know the air. She says the air is bad. But yeah, Wyrus is like their little songbird, which makes, the next couple of moments really horrifying.
Yeah, the songbird stops singing. Yeah. I load an arrow as I twist and get a glimpse of a dripping wet gloss, letting Wyrus slide to the ground, her throat slit open in a bright red smile. The point of my arrow disappears into her right temple, and in the instant it takes to reload, Joanna has buried an axe blade in Cashmere's chest. Finnick knocks away a spear Brutus throws at Peeta and takes Enobaria's knife in his thigh. If there wasn't a cornucopia to duck behind, they'd be dead, both of the tributes from District 2. I spring forward in pursuit. Boom, boom, boom. The cannon confirms there's no way to help Wyrus, no need to finish off Gloss or Cashmere. And then the ground jerks beneath them, and the cornucopia starts to fucking spin.
This is wild. What the fuck?
And of course, it's spinning so fast that, like, they're about to get thrown into the water, which is rude. Like, they're in the middle of a fight. What the fuck? And she has to, like, just hope that she doesn't get thrown off and close her eyes because she's going to throw up. And the bodies, because of the force, had been thrown into the water.
Peeta had drawn this wonderful map, like a little diagram of the clock, and worked really hard on it. All the sections had it all labeled all nicely. That shit goes flying into the water.
I swear to God.
I was so irritated about that.
Like, it makes sense in a way because, like, you know, if they've got it too well mapped out, then game over, you know, like, so you've got to do something like this. But oh man, the fact that they have this thing rigged to spin like that.
Yeah.
Christ.
Fucking just like unfair. There's so, I mean, unfair seems like a really weak word because this whole thing is fucking unfair. But like within, once you concede that the whole thing is fucked and unfair, and you just drill down to this one moment, this is so fucking rude.
Yeah. And Wyrus, she goes out, and it turns out Wyrus is still clinging to that coil of wire.
Like Beatty's wire,
yeah, in her last moments was just like, I'm fucking not letting this go, which the single-minded commitment to this fucking wire for him. And Katniss just like closes her eyes before the hovercraft can take her body away, just as like a mark of respect. It's the only thing she can do because Wyrus is floating, you know.
Yeah. She has to wrench that thing out of her fucking hand.
Yes.
Like, Jesus Christ. So then, but they get Beatty back because he went flying too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. He's out in the water.
It's not funny, but it's funny. Thank God he's got his little flotation belt on.
Right? And she's like, oh, and he kept hold of his glasses. Thank God for that.
Super
what if those
fucking
went
smart,
away?
right? That's the thing too about like these types of stories that or like zombie shows and shit, you know. Like, what about us people that wear glasses? Like, we're just fucked. That's fucked.
The question.
Yeah, we're fucked.
Do you remember that short story in Dresden from Butter's point of view? And it's like about a fear creature and his glasses get stepped on.
Oh, yes.
And he's just like completely unhinged because,
Yep. Oh, anyway, it's real vulnerability.
Yeah, it really, really is. So poor Beatty, he doesn't like say anything about Wyrus here, and Katniss is looking at this wire, and it's just like, that wire is so weird. And she wants to ask, but she's like, his friend just died. All right, I'm just gonna put that aside for right now.
Yeah, it's she says it's a pale golden color, fine as a piece of hair, and she thinks that there must be miles of it to fill the large spool. It sounds like, you know, when you have a bomb and then you have that long, you know, in movies where they place a bomb and then they go like way away with this long wire to detonate it from somewhere else. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, basically.
But it's not attached to anything. He's just carrying it around. So I can't wait to find out what's going on with this.
So they're trying to figure out what section they're looking at, you know, looking for some sort of marker. It makes sense now why they took away the monkey bodies, because that would just be a dead giveaway. I get it. Like, I'm literally like dead giveaway because it's they're dead. This is a Wendy's. And you know, she's sort of like, I wish I hadn't said anything about the clock, because now they probably wouldn't have made the thing spin around if I hadn't said it out loud.
I love this because Joanna is the one that's just like, it. You had to tell us because you had to tell us so we would fucking get up and move. So like
brainless,
right?
That's what she says is brainless. Ironically, her logical, if demeaning, reply is the only one that comforts me. So they just choose a path, and let's see. Oh, Peeta's like, all right, I'm gonna tap a tree, and there's this, for a moment, I'm suspicious they're trying to divide and kill us. Oh, Katniss, I know you should be. I know this is the correct way to be, but every time she gets like this, I'm just like, all right, calm down. I don't know. I know she should be, but I just feel like now it doesn't feel like the time.
I 100% get that, but I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous too. I was like, why are they separating you? I don't know if I like that. And
As
this is go ahead.
No, go ahead,
All right.
please,
No,
please.
you were about to read exactly the part I was talking about. So as I stand there, I think you were starting.
Yes. As I stand there, weapons ready, I can't lose the uneasy feeling that something is going on and that it has to do with Peeta. I retrace our steps, starting from the moment the gong rang out, searching for the source of my discomfort. Finnick towing Peeta in off his metal plate. Finnick reviving Peeta after the force field stopped his heart. Mags running into the fog so that Finnick could carry Peeta. The Morphling hurling herself in front of him to block the monkey's attack. The fight with the careers was so quick, but didn't Finnick block Brutus' spear from hitting Peeta even though it meant taking Enobaria's knife in his leg? And even now, Joanna has him drawing a map on a leaf rather than risking the jungle. There is no question about it. For reasons completely unfathomable to me, some of the other victors are trying to keep him alive, even if it means sacrificing themselves. I'm dumbfounded. For one thing, that's my job. For another, it doesn't make sense. Only one of us can get out, so why have they chosen Peeta to protect? What has Haymitch possibly said to them? What has he bargained with to make them put Peeta's life above their own?
That is the fucking question.
What do you think?
Girl, I can't call it. I don't know. She's theorizing that maybe it's because he is going to be a better candidate for spreading the message of rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That he can talk. He's got words. He's got the gift the leader of our revolution should have, she says. But I don't know if I don't know, y'all. I don't know.
She has already thought about how, like, I'll be worth more dead than alive because I'll be, like, you know, his sad backstory.
Right.
So
and I get her getting there, and I guess I wonder if I am underestimating, because there's a tension between the instinct for survival that every individual has, right? Or supposedly they tell us every individual has. I think that remains to be seen. But versus greater good, TM, you know?
right.
So my impulse is to be like, if it's your life on the line, it's really hard to be willing to sacrifice yourself for something greater. But then maybe I'm underestimating just how fucking angry these people would be about being forced into a game they've already played and won. You know, and the Capitol has completely reneged on its promise that you win the game, you survive, you get a life of comfort, free from ever having to worry about doing this again. That's the fucking bargain. And then they just completely sold them out. And maybe some of these, I can't call them tributes, victors. I guess they're still, but they're not tributes anymore. Are they still tributes technically?
They're victors.
They're still victors.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them are angry enough. Maybe this really was just like a line too far, you know, like maybe I'm not giving that enough consideration, that they might really be like, this is all bullshit. No, we're not going to all hold hands and like get along and sing Kumbaya or whatever. But that doesn't mean we don't think this is utter bullshit and it has to end. So I don't know. I don't know. But while she's thinking about all this, she hears the torturous screams of Prim.
Yeah.
And completely loses her shit and goes running blind after the sound of her sister's voice. Now, I didn't believe for a second that her sister was actually here being in danger, right? But I was like, what the fucking fuck is this fuck?
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what I thought to myself. What the fucking fuck is this fuck?
RoShawn, so eloquent. Indeed.
Because I had, as is my way, had completely forgotten about these goddamn birds, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, why would I even be thinking about them in this moment? I'm not thinking about those fucking birds. So I didn't know what this could possibly be, except, some type of trap, something to obviously to lure her to what I thought was going to be an even greater danger, right? Like I thought
Mm-hmm.
there was going to be some kind of monster waiting for her once she got to wherever she was going. It turns out that this is awful in a whole new way, a whole new terrible way.
Yeah. Because Katniss quickly is just like, oh, it's not real. They're fucking with us. Then Finnick freaks the fuck out. And he is chasing and yelling Annie. And she manages to like kill the one that's tormenting him. But he's like, Katniss, where did they get the screams from, though?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this sends her down a bad mental path because she is imagining that they're actually torturing her to get these sounds. And all of a sudden, she hears another sound, and it's Gale screaming.
Yeah.
And both of them are like, all right, we got to get the fuck out of here. But there is a force field between them.
Yeah. I love too that even though they know, like she knows it's not Gale, right?
Mm-hmm.
She knows it's just this fucking bird, but she's still like fighting Finnick, who is trying to drag her out because she doesn't want to leave. Like
she can't curb that impulse.
The impulse, it's so strong, and I was trying to imagine like how it would feel to know something is not real, but it's still triggering all of your like physical and psychological reaction as if it's real. Kind of like you go to a horror movie and it stimulates you even though you know it's not real.
Yeah.
So you're like if you're the type of person who likes like roller coasters and shit like that, which I am not that type of person. And even though you're not really gonna plummet to your death if you're lucky, because some things malfunction all the fucking time. But, the expectation is that you're not going to plummet to your death, but you still have the reaction to it. So I was thinking it must be sort of like that. And he has to drag her away. And then, they run into the fucking force field.
Yeah, he breaks his nose.
He smashes into that shit so fucking hard.
Peeta and Joanna and even Beetee, who I see sadly shaking his head behind them, have not come to our aid. You can touch this hard, smooth surface all you like. Oh, yeah, she says explicitly it's not a force field.
Yeah, it's just a barrier.
Yeah. Peeta presses his hand against the surface, and I put my own up to meet it as if I can feel him through the wall. And they can't hear them. The only thing they can hear is this screaming that just all the birds come and surround them. And there's no way to get out of the sound, out of range.
Yeah. What does she call it? A carefully orchestrated chorus of horror begins to spill out of their mouths, which is just a fucking sentence.
Yeah.
My God. It says Finnick gives up at once, hunching on the ground, clenching his hands over his ears as if he's trying to crush his skull. She's out here just letting arrows fly, dropping these birds one by one, and it doesn't do a fucking thing.
So eventually, Peeta wakes her, and it's over, but she is just freaking out.
This is awful.
And she starts to shake, and he talks her through and is like, do you remember what happens when they're recording at the end, when you get to the final 8? They're going to interview your family. She'll be the first one they interview. The first Prim, and then your mother, and then your cousin Gale. It was a trick, Katniss. We're the only ones who can be hurt by it. We're the ones in the games, not them. And Finnick is looking at Peeta with this fixation. And she realizes he is also attempting to make himself believe this.
Yeah.
And finally, Finnick is like, Beetee, can they make fake screams? And Beaty's like, oh yeah, it's not even hard. Our kids learned how to do that in school. What? They what? There's just something about that being said like that I would like to stop and talk about. You what? It's just too casual, sir.
Just like very basic, like audio, like something you learn in AV club.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. We teach our kids how to make fake sounds of people screaming all the time. The
fact that the Capitol needs people to learn how to do this, that they teach it in school so that they have people in this district who they can just be like, hey, we need some technology that does this, this, and this.
I don't like it.
Yeah, not a fan. And then Joanna's just like, of course Peeta's right. The whole country adores your little sister. If they killed her like this, they'd have an uprising on their hands. And then Joanna says, with a little bit of a sauce there, a whole country in rebellion wouldn't want anything like that. Like just yelling it out to the world. And Katniss is like, oh, word? No one ever says anything like this in the games. Never. And she knows that they have immediately cut away from her and they're editing out this.
Yes.
But Katniss is like, but I heard her say it, and now I will never be able to think of her the same way. This is going to make it really hard to kill her later, is basically what she's feeling.
I do love that. But yeah, I really love that. Wouldn't want anything like that. What a shame that would be. Oh my God. She is fucking funny sometimes.
Yeah. And she's about to go into where the birds are, and Katniss tries to stop her. And even though the birds are gone, and Joanna says, oh, they can't hurt me. I'm not like the rest of you. There's no one left that I love. And then like takes her hand away from Katniss and like walks away. Yeah, that's a fucking hard line right there, too.
Right?
Yeah. But again, she's very, very angry about all of this. And she's got a right to be. And I don't know what happened and who she loved, unless it was maybe, I don't remember that much about her partner. His name was Blight. I don't remember if we got a description of if there was a relationship there or what the deal was. I don't know if that's what she's referring to or if there was someone else. I don't know. But I believe her when she says it. It felt very, very real.
I just really feel like you don't name your child Blight.
Listen.
I feel like that's bad luck, that name. Am I wrong?
I would think so, but these names, the naming conventions, they have been all over the place. I don't know
true.
What's going on.
Just felt really
like the guy that was Hamish's friend. It was from District 11. His name is Chaff, right?
Yeah.
So they're from an agricultural district, and isn't chaff like you separate the chaff from the wheat?
The chaff's the bad part,
right?
You don't keep.
Why would you name your kid that?
I do not know.
So I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, you make a solid point on that one. Sorry, guys. That's just like really why. So at this point, Peeta is like, has his arms around her, and she mentions Annie, and he says, it must be Annie Cresta. She was the girl Mags volunteered for. She won about 5 years ago. And Katniss says, was that the earthquake year? Yeah. Annie's the one who went mad when her district partner got beheaded.
Yeah, this is bad.
Ran off by herself and hid, but an earthquake broke a dam and most of the arena got flooded. She won because she was the best swimmer. Did she get better after? I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing her at the games again, but she didn't look too stable during the reaping this year. So that's who Finnick loves, I think. Not his string of fancy lovers in the capital, but a poor, mad girl back home.
And this is when we see her, she's the one that freaked the fuck out when her name got called. Like, she, like, completely lost her shit. Oh my goodness. And then Mags sacrificing herself for her, and Annie meaning so much to Finnick, that makes us wonder, like, not wonder, but reminds us, or I guess informs us how much he would have loved Mags for what, just the whole thing. It's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yup. So then a cannon blast. A hovercraft collects the pieces of a body that's been torn apart.
Listen, you know that fucking Dorothy Parker quote, "What fresh hell is this?" Like, that is fucking, that's what these should be called. Like, Hunger Games, comma, what fresh hell is this?
Oh my God. I love that you're like, that Dorothy Parker quote when I would have been, that part on Frasier. I had no idea that he was quoting somebody when he said that. Oh, amazing. But yeah, there's a section where Peeta just writes beast.
Oh my God, right?
Because of this person being torn apart, which yikes.
I mean, I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything about that.
So there's them and Chaff left, and that's it. They are going through them very, very quickly. And let's see. A parachute comes down with a pile of bite-sized square-shaped rolls from District 3. And I love that they're like little squares that are in this like configuration. Finnick counts them, turning each one over in his hands before he sets it in a neat configuration. I don't know what it is with Finnick and bread, but he seems obsessed with handling it. 24, he says. And even 2 dozen then? 24 on the nose. How should we divide them? Let's each have 3, and whoever is still alive at breakfast can take a vote on the rest.
Like, how is Joanna, like, low-key starting to be a favorite?
Oh, I love her. And Katniss can't help but, like, kind of... And Joanna gives her a bit of a look. Like, the two of them are kind of starting to, like...
What does she call it? She says she gives me an approving look.
No, not approving, but maybe slightly
Almost.
pleased.
That's right. She fucking qualifies it. She's like, well.
And then they're like chilling on the beach. They manage to get away from like the flood area. And then it says there's an unpleasant chorus of clicking, probably from some evil type of insect coming from the 11 to 12 o'clock wedge.
Oh my God. I don't want to know anything about that either. Giant
Christ.
crickets. Like, what could it possibly? I don't want to know.
I'm thinking like something that'll eat you, like scarab beetles.
Oh God.
You know, I'm just thinking about the Mummy and how they like get under your skin.
Oh,
you remember that movie?
No, I never saw it.
Oh, it goes under his skin and up into his brain.
No, we're done. We're done. Shut it down. Shut it down. Nah. Absolutely not. And I will most certainly not ever be watching it. Thank you for that. In case I accidentally decided to watch it.
There's a lot of hot people in it. Are you sure?
Not enough. Not to cover for that. You know, you guys know how I feel about the bugs that go in your body. And
I don't think these people necessarily know.
No,
she doesn't like them.
I don't care for them. Not that, like, and I know nobody particularly likes it, but like my fucking Star Trek story that the older listeners will have heard me talk about before, which is, see, as a little kid, I was one of those like really obnoxious little kids that didn't like to go to bed at bedtime, which is weird because bedtime is like my most favorite time now. But when I was a little kid, getting me to go to bed was an arduous task. I always had another glass of water. I always had one more question that needed to be answered, right? So my mom would always like shoo me to bed, and then they would put on like good TV. And so one time I came out and they were watching The Elephant Man, Scarred for Life. because
Oh,
that's
boy.
not something you should see when you're like 7. And if I had just taken
No.
my ass to bed and stayed in bed, I'd be fine now. But I didn't, and now I'm not fine. And then the second time it happened, they were watching one of the Star Trek movies. I don't know which one because I won't watch it. But they have 2 of them, maybe Kirk and somebody else, I don't know. And he's in his chair, and they put this bug in his ear that then burrows into his brain.
Right, yes.
That was it for me in Star Trek until I was like, again, I was easily traumatized as a child, just like Taco Bell. That was it for me for Star Trek until the 90s when Next Generation came out. Like, Star Trek would come on reruns, and I would flick that fucking channel so fast. Nope.
There is something about, I was easily traumatized, just like Taco Bell. That sentence, it makes sense. I remember why, but it feels like out of context that would sound insane.
Yeah, it would, right? Just like Taco Bell.
Yeah,
But so yeah, no, I can't do it.
So they sit on the sand, and it's her and Peeta having a heart-to-heart here. And he's like, all right, can we just drop the fucking pretense at this point and say what's going on? Because I know you are aware of what I'm trying to do. And you have to know that I've clocked what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
We can't keep up with this way. We both got told, by the way, by Hamish that we were going to get our way. So one of us he was fucking lying to.
Mm-hmm.
And you have got to know that if you died, I would go home to nothing. You are my whole life.
I would never be happy again.
Yep.
That is, it's funny because she's always talking about how when he says things like that, they make her really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have that reaction this time.
She does not.
He pulls this little chain from around his neck and opens that shit up. And it is a locket with photos. And inside, they are a picture of her mother and Prim. And on the other side, there's a picture of Gail, who's actually smiling in the picture. And he is just like, your family needs you. You can't just die here. These are the people that you need to live for.
Yeah.
And the fact that Peeta is sort of saying to her in this moment, I get it. You don't feel like for me the way I feel for you. And I've accepted that at this point. And I still want you to live. I still love you so much that I would be willing to die for you.
Yep. He's like, I know it would be hard for you, but it wouldn't be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would eventually get over it. Your life would continue on.
Yep. No one really needs me, he says. And it's not even said with like, oh, nobody needs me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's like, he just says it like a fact, My parents would be sad for me. And she's thinking to herself, it's kind of true though.
Mm.
His family doesn't need him like my family needs me. They will be okay. Not okay, but they would go on. I think is how she puts it. But her family without her, they would be thrust right back into the poverty that they were living in before. And without Katniss there to provide for them, how would they eat? How would they live?
Yeah.
They can't stay in that fucking Victor's house if she dies.
Exactly. Yep.
But she says in this moment, she realizes that the only person that would be damaged beyond repair if Peeta dies is her. Which is, I don't think she was expecting that.
Yeah. She definitely, how do you get over that? Like, I don't know if you do, but she would for her family, on their behalf.
So she tells him, I need you. and he looks like he's about to argue with her about it. And so she's like, basically to shut him up, I kiss him.
Mm-hmm.
But then that kiss starts
Yeah, it starts to be a whole different thing all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that, like, there's such a difference in the kisses depending on, you know, like,
Yes.
there was only one other time that she had this feeling, and this time it's straight up like, oh, am I horny? Oh shit. Like, it's just, as she puts it, the more I kiss him, the less it seems to satisfy, and it just makes me want something more. And I'm like, yeah, girl, that's called dick. That's what you want. The something more asterisk dick.
Oh shit.
So
and then they get interrupted because the lightning storm starts. And Finnick comes over, and he catches them, and he's just like, oh, maybe I'll just take watch by myself then.
It's too dangerous, Peeta says. I'm not tired. You lie down, Katniss. And she's just like, okay. He puts a locket around her neck, and then he puts his hand on her stomach. And she's said earlier that, like, the fact that he wasn't playing for the cameras was what let her know explicitly he was being sincere.
Yeah.
Is what he was saying to her. So now him being like, oh, and you'll be a great mother someday, for her, that's the, like, okay, we're back to programming.
Yeah. And then she's left laying there being like,
Yeah.
Could I still have kids with Gale? Well, that's not what he means, because that's not a thing I'm going to do. It's not part of my plan.
Mm-hmm.
And if one of us can be a parent, it should be him. I'm talking about Peeta. And then right as she falls asleep, she's wondering about a life where there are no games and no capital, a place like the meadow in the song I sang to Rue, where Peeta's child could be safe. Which
How about it?
You know, like, if you follow from the last sentence where she's just thinking about Peeta existing in a world where she has died and he goes on to have a life and makes a great parent, or she could be talking about Peeta getting up in them guts. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I hate that turn of phrase. Why did she do it, RoShawn?
Isn't that, like, what? They come up with the weirdest ways of talking about fucking. I don't know what's wrong with dudes. I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
What's the other one that they say? Blow my back out?
Oh, yeah. Get your back blown out.
That one. What does that even mean? Does it mean, like, you get pounded so hard that your back breaks, or does it mean that he comes so hard that it shoots out your back?
I'm hoping
blows it out.
I'm hoping it's the first one, because the second one is. Ugh.
That was what I thought it was the first time I heard it. Was like, oh, it's blown out by the force and speed of the projectile, you know. But because blown out, you know, like. But getting your back broken. Do we say that?
No, we don't say that.
See, that feels like it would be better. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Did you know what I'm saying?
Now I'm just picturing, like, flying across the room from the force of the fucking.
Oh man, like a fucking fire hose.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Why are we so weird about sex? God.
Because it's hilarious. We try and act like sex is sex is weird and gross. And the sooner that we all admit that, the sooner we can just move on with our lives.
It was just like the way, like there was a time in the very early 2000s where people were talking about like fucking like, oh, I cut it up. What?
Who said that?
Well, it was like I think it might have just been like a Southern expression.
Cut it up. I always thought that was just like, he's really cutting it up, like being a jokester, I never heard it for sex.
I think that's something about cutting. I'm pretty sure it was cut it up or something along those lines. Because I remember, well, never mind. I don't want to get us too more derailed. But all in summary, we got a weird way of talking about sex in this country. Real weird.
Yes, anyway, okay. So that's the way that chapter ends. And now we are on to the final recording for Catching Fire. I hope y'all are ready. I'm not ready. I'll say that.
I just it's only 3 chapters left. Is it really just 3, or is there going to be an extra one?
No, that's it.
It came out to 3 exactly. Damn.
What?
I was just hoping there'd be like 4 chapters, like like a little extra bonus chapter or something. I didn't know that the book was going to be evenly 3 chapters all the way through.
I'm trying to decide if I want to live read.
Well, you have to let me know because I've been reading the next chapters right away.
Oh, are you about to read that tonight?
Probably tomorrow. Like last Saturday, before I read Song of Ice and Fire for our recording, I read the next chapters of Hunger Games.
Oh shit! I did not realize it was like that. Okay,
so you have to let me know because I will be reading this shit in the morning. So I won't until I'll give you tomorrow to make a decision.
All right, I'm gonna say right now that I'm gonna live read the last chapter because I just checked and it's real short.
Okay.
It's really, really short.
So I won't pre-read the last chapter. I'll stop myself. But I definitely am reading the next 2 chapters tomorrow when I get up with my coffee.
Okay.
First thing. And then I'll read Song of Ice and Fire for the podcast.
Oh, boy. All right. Jesus. I just can't believe how fast this is going to be over, man. RoShawn and I, I've been sort of brainstorming some things to cover after this is done, and I don't know who else out there has been watching the latest season of True Detective Night Country, but kiddos, that shit is compelling.
You got me just in time too, because this shit was getting ready to get fired up because I've been hearing such good things about it.
I really, really want, and part of me wants you to just watch it so I could just talk to you about it. I almost am maybe I should just do that because I don't know that it's in the zeitgeist right now. By the time we finish the next book and turn around to cover it, are people going to be sick of it?
I was thinking the same thing too. Sometimes us not being able to jump on a thing right when it's happening can be a little bit of a bummer. I don't know if anybody is going to want to check for that and however many months it takes to get through the next book, 2 months at least.
Yeah, definitely 2 months at least.
So,
and there's only 3 episodes remaining to air. So
yeah, maybe I'll just watch it and we'll talk about it soon.
Okay. I want texts throughout. I just really, just text me. And girl, can I just say, everybody listening, the opening credits are so fucking spooky. Oh my God, they're so good. And the song is so perfect. And that song has been in my head and it freaks me out. It's very catchy. It's a good song, but it's also a spooky song. That's why they picked it.
See, I don't even know what the song. I don't even know what
you'll hear it and you'll be like, oh yeah, that is good. And when you get up in the middle of the night and you got to use the bathroom by yourself and that song is playing in your head, it's not great. It's not an awesome accompaniment to walking down your hall in the dark. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, all right. So before we wrap up, you know what we've got to do, you guys. All right, Guys, you know who we got for a new patron this week? We only have one name, and you know who it is? Roman Roy.
Oh, nice.
Oh my. Roman, I happen to know for a fact you could afford a lot more than that, sir. So I'm going to need you to up that pledge to, like $6 or $7 grand a month, because we all know about you, sir. But yeah, those of you who don't watch Succession don't know what we're laughing about, but trust me, it was hilarious. But yeah, thank you so much to Roman Roy for pledging. Appreciate you a lot. It's very funny because I can see the email address attached to this, and that is distinctly not Roman Roy. But I do enjoy any time that people choose funny names, because why not? And I think you can choose sometimes different names and change them around. So I know that there are some shows where people will just change their name explicitly for when they're being read on the air for the joke, and then they just change it back.
I love that people do that. That's my favorite thing I've ever heard. You guys are the best. My God, what was the other one? Random Tangent. Nerd Going Outside was a recent one as well, which that speaks to me, having just laid my first garden bed today. I was just oh, outside, what a novel idea. But yeah, thank you so much. And those of you who are interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/unspoiled. I really appreciate y'all. And just have been, working on catching up, dealing with the computer problems. It seems like we're pretty stable for right now. So I'm trying to just sort of play the long game instead of wanting to buy a computer immediately, just setting it up to save up for it. But I do still have catching up to do. RoShawn, you remember I told you about how my computer fucked up in the middle of a Spoil Me recording? Mm-hmm.
So it fucked up, and what I do when I record Spoil Me, I do what I do with you, where I record on GarageBand and on Crowdcast. Well, the fuck up on my computer was so profound that not only did my GarageBand stop, but the sound in the downloadable file from Crowdcast also stops.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it plays fine on Crowdcast. You can play the video to the end, but when you try and download the file, it stops at the same place that my GarageBand stopped, because evidently something my computer did just fucked up their system also, which is wild to me. So I had to today, finally, after talking to Crowdcast, I was messaging back and forth with them for over a week because they've never seen this issue before. And they were just I straight up don't know what to tell you. I finally just had to put my mic next to my computer play the video off Crowdcast and record that sound.
Oh, no.
For the end of the episode, the last 15 minutes. It was the most awkward shit. I had to sit here at my desk and not make a sound and not move, because any sound that I made, it would be picked up by the mic, probably louder than my voice from the recording. It was so weird.
This is the time you had to react to my file, you were.
Yes, guys. I don't remember what it was, but RoShawn and I, there was some section that got fucked up, and it was only mine. Hers was fine. And so I had to play her in my ears and behave as if we were actually talking and speak into my mic, reacting to what she said, as if I were actually having a live convo to carry off the rest of the episode and make it get it to the end.
That's was one of the funniest things I have ever heard in my whole life. That I just picture you doing that, and it is so insane.
It's one step away from a listener removing one of our sound files and doing this to pretend that they're friends with one of us. I felt like I was just shy of being a serial killer kind of level stalker type thing, It was, and what was so bizarre, and this is something I judge myself for, is that my fucking instinct was to react almost identically to the first time. So it was seamless. You couldn't even tell, because I am so fucking predictable in my reactions to things. that it's not even like work for me to redo the thing.
You didn't even have to try that hard.
No. I practically like relived it for the first time without even thinking about how it was. And it was like beat for I barely had to catch myself ever. I didn't even have to adjust the recording. I never had to go in and be like, "Ooh, I talked too quick this time." Never happened. It was like, yeah. So what I'm saying is,
that's amazing.
AI will come for me one day. My days are numbered, my friends. I gotta get some new material or something. Totally switch up my personality.
Holy shit. Put Unspoiled into, was that Chat GPT or whatever?
Oh my God. I bet we could too.
Probably could. Oh my God. I like to think that we just are not big enough that our information is just not loaded into the internet. Site or whatever, to scrape to pull it. But
although Apple Podcasts is starting to do auto transcripts now. So
I think you told me you saw that somewhere. Mm-hmm. I think it was.
I didn't tell you.
No, it was Zencaster that was doing the captions recently.
They've been doing it. They have been doing transcripts for a while.
Oh, well, see, I don't get to see that on my end.
But yeah, Apple's doing them automatically, like through the podcast app. So now the transcript thing is just there as an accessible thing, which is really great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I was really unsure how to do that.
I remember we had a listener who tried to do that for us years ago. I think it was on Harry Potter. Remember that?
There were several people who were contributing to that. Yeah. And it was just, it was something that like everybody was volunteering and it was just something hard to organize. Yeah. And it just sort of fell off. I think we got like the first book's worth transcribed.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it was a big task, even with like multiple people trying to do it. I can't imagine. Like I helped transcribe for the book years ago when the first book came out. Mm-hmm. And that shit is a lot harder than you think it would be. I was like transcribing because they did all those interviews for the book. And then they were all phone interviews. And then we had to transcribe them, and that shit was tedious.
Yeah, that sounds like a drag.
It really was. It was a hard fucking work.
I really like. That's the only reason that I would want to keep the website, but I just can't afford to keep paying the storage fees for that site.
Yeah.
So, oh well, can't have everything.
No, we can't. But what we do have, we're very, very thankful for.
All right.
I'm trying to put something good into
I don't care for this energy.
Listen.
Pollyanna.
A bitch needs a break. So if I gotta suck
there up it is. There's that energy that I want.
If I have to suck up to the universe,
I love that idea. The universe is just like some snotty boss. I have not cared for your attitude, so sorry. Anyway, thank you guys so much. We love you. Until next time, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
Are you coming to the tree where dead men call out for his love to flee? Strange things that happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.